Awesome. Good morning. Good morning. We're here on Wednesday Wisdom on Women of Light Movement Facebook group. And if you're watching on YouTube, hi to you, and lovely to have you here as well. So we are with the beautiful Christine, who is a friend of mine that we sort of lived up here because, up in far north Queensland for a long time, and we knew of each other but had never actually physically met.
I think we have friends in common.
Yeah, we've got a few friends. Yeah, friends in common, and then just recently, over the last year, I think it's been, or maybe 2 years, that we physically met. And I got the opportunity to have a card reading from Christine, which we'll be talking about her many talents today. So we went drumming together. We did some djembe drumming together, which was nice. Lovely to have you on here, Christine.
And belly dancing.
Belly dancing. That's how it
lovely
started,
to be
actually.
Here, Eleanor.
Yeah,
Elizabeth. That's how we first met, my belly dance class.
That's right. You were teaching belly dancing, and I came to the class. That's right. Yeah.
And then you moved to Sydney straight after that. So
yeah,
that was it. And I thought you were the best dancer in the group. I was really sad to miss, that you left.
I should try and find something down here, actually.
Okay.
Are you still doing belly dancing?
I'm not professionally. I'm not teaching.
Okay.
I'm retired. I'm actually in my 70s now.
Yeah.
Early 70s, and I pretend I'm retired, but really I'm as busy as ever.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know that you've got a business, Shady Grove. It's been around forever in far north Queensland. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the business 10 years ago, and it had already been going for 25 years.
Yeah.
Started by Karen in Herberton.
Yes.
I know Karen. 35 years ago.
Wow, 35 years ago.
She started that business, and it changed hands a couple of times, and it went downhill. I must say, it was a poor little thing when I bought it.
I know, because I know the woman that did it, that was in between, and I watched it go downhill.
Actually. Yeah. Anyway, I picked it back up again, dusted it off, loved it. It was my new baby. I nurtured it.
And you've had it for 10 years.
Had the business for 10 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
And I now have lots more products. I make a lot of things, beauty care, self-care products, healing products, house cleaning products, that sort of thing, as well as essential oils and blends.
Yeah. And you've got a website?
No, I did have, but I've closed it down because I felt like it wasn't worth the time or the effort. Yeah, but look, I have an email address if anyone would like to email me, and I'll send them a wholesale catalogue. I only wholesale, so my prices are very good.
Yeah.
So and
you can put that. You can put that in the chat afterwards, and we'll also add it into the comments for the YouTube as well. So, and so on top of that, one of the things, and we were just talking before we started, was someone had said to you, why aren't you utilising your talents?
Well, it wasn't someone; it was, someone on the other side. Put it that way.
Tell us a little bit more.
My spirit guides, they ganged up on me one day and said, well, how come you've got all these gifts and you're not using them? Get out there and start helping people, Otherwise, why have them? So I've started card reading professionally again.
Yeah.
And I can do that online.
Okay.
Not so much face-to-face. That's just these times it's really difficult, travel wise, and virus-wise and all of that.
Yeah.
But yes, I can do it. I can FaceTime. I'm even going to learn how to do Zoom. So
awesome.
So we can do readings online, and it's pretty much, the real thing.
I actually find myself that I find online a lot more efficient myself, because you're not distracted by the person's identity or their persona. You're just purely working directly with their energy. And
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I find it's a little bit of a clearer channel when you're working with someone directly online. So tell us a little bit more. How long have you been doing this? How did it start?
Well, the card reading started around 30 years ago when I invented a system of card reading using ordinary playing cards. And I've been using that system ever since. And look, the cards are often, they work better than the new ones because, I've been working with them for longer. It's usually spot on.
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book about how to use the cards. I mean, anyone can, can access a deck of playing cards. They're everywhere, and they're cheap. They're not expensive, and they work really, really well.
So you're writing, because you're writing another book about your life, right? But so you've decided
It's about my father's life. Actually died or passed over, and his adventures aside. Yeah.
So how did you? Yeah. And so how did it all start? Like, let's go all the way back to when you recognized that you were talking to, like people on the other side, like of the veil. How did it all sort of start?
It started with a teacher, an Aboriginal shaman, who's long gone actually, but he's still teaching, and he lives in the spirit world. And I was taken to him. I mean, he drew me to him when I was ready and taught me, how to access the other side of the veil, taught me a lot about medium, and took me through my first shamanic initiation. And that was many years ago now. I've had many more initiations since. Sort of work, that's my main work, really. And that's what I don't get paid for, but I get paid in love and appreciation and blessings.
Yeah.
Worth more than any money.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when did you, like, what are some of the experiences that you've had? Like, what happened through that process?
Well, I get taken to people who've just passed or are just passing. I have a guide, Anubis, who is a psychopomp, who, he does this sort of work. So he's my main guide for this. And either he grabs me or I grab him and off we go. The last time this happened was only this week. I managed to catch a little girl as she happened to run off the edge of a cliff. I think she was just playing, and ran off this cliff. It was so, she wouldn't have survived. It was so high, and I caught her up. She I think, died of fright, and I caught her spirit body. She wrapped her arms around me. I get very emotional. And she asked me, "Are you an angel?" And I said, "Well, so are you, sweetheart," And I had to take her home. Well, only home as far as the transition world, because we all go to a transition world first when we pass. That goes straight to source unless we're very exceptional people. Usually we live in a transition world for however long. still continuing to learn lessons.
Yeah.
It's like R&R. It's like a holiday after the hard life we have to live here. And it is, even if we live in the most beautiful place like we do here in Australia, it's still a hard life, you know.
Yeah.
Hard lessons to learn. And so we go to this, it's a replica of where we were on Earth, but very much, you know, sparkly, cleaned up, pristine version.
So I wonder if that's what some people would interpret heaven on Earth.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on Earth.
I know, but yeah.
Because it seems like heaven.
Yeah.
After the life that we've had here, and people can be there hundreds of years or only a short time, but it's everyone's choice.
Different, yeah.
When they're ready, they can move on to the light realms, the upper realms, and they can choose to come back. You know, they choose what family they're born into. They choose the lessons that they need to learn if they need to come back for more earth training.
Yes.
Or not, you know.
Yeah. And so I'm just reflecting on an experience. The very first time I helped someone transition myself, a really dear friend of mine had a heart attack, really like a stroke, actually. I think she had a stroke. And they put her in a coma, like they put her on life support until the family could get together. And I couldn't get down there, and I freaked out, had a friend that was a shaman. Did you ever meet Jill Stevenson?
No.
She was over. Yeah, she was over from America. She was over from America years ago. And anyway, she showed me how to go in to see this woman, and we did all this work. I went in a couple of times, but one of the last times I went in, there was this vortex in the corner of the room, and I was aware that there was these people, spirits waiting, like this eternal patience, like just I've never experienced anything. The patience was just unbelievable, this feeling of just they would wait forever if they needed to, because she had spoken to them. So she had gone from freaking out, being in and out of her body, to just being slowly moving, you know, and I knew that she had spoken to them. And I also knew that I was not to go, not that I wanted to, but there was this knowing that was not for me to go through that vortex. So when you say about that transition place,
yes,
have you been there, or you've had it? Yeah.
Yes, I've been there lots, actually, especially when my father lived there.
Yeah.
And he actually met another woman. Mum doesn't know this. She's still alive. I'm not telling her. She's the most beautiful woman, and they're really in love, and they have a lovely home there by a lake. And I've been to see them a lot, actually. But they've moved on. They've actually moved on to the higher realms. I arrived there one day, you know, to visit with them, and there was absolute silence and just not anyone around at all. And they owned a little boat. They used to go out on the lake. The boat was just in the middle of the lake, just bobbing, you know, gently. And I just knew.
Yeah, that they'd moved further on.
They'd moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still see my dad. He still visits.
Yeah.
He visits in the physical realm. And he visits Mum. He's waiting for her to sort of help her transition. She's 92, and she's still very much alive.
Yeah.
And I think
go.
I think that's what you experience, the people waiting for your friend. might have been family, but they were also probably the angels that we all have from birth or before birth. We all have our own angels that care for us throughout our whole life, and they help us transition at the end of the life as well. And that's probably who was there waiting. It could have been family members as well.
Yeah, I could feel that there was many there, and it was a mix.
Yes, it's that you transition in with a group, and they're all there supporting you with their love and care.
Yeah. And so what are some of the experiences, like that particular one is dear to my heart, because it was when I was first really waking up and understanding it all. And my friend Debbie had been in that place. Like, she didn't believe in it, but she listened and watched me grow and expand in it. And there was this moment when she was going in and out of her body, and we'd had this moment with the vortex. And there was this moment, and I said, I swore, actually. I said, so Debbie, you lucky bitch, you're experiencing it before me, like, how lucky are you? And she said back to me, yes, and it's everything that you're thinking it is. She said, keep going.
Oh, look, it's the most beautiful.
It was beautiful
experience.
Yeah.
For most people, it's just a beautiful experience, and all you have to do is just relax and enjoy it.
And let go, yeah.
Let go. Yeah, those who fight it are afraid it's not such a good experience for them.
Yes.
Like everything in life, fear of change. Really must just, especially now with all the changes going on in the world, now more than ever, we must just let go and go with it, and not fight against anything, and not try and keep the world the same, because it'll never be the same.
No. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I just have faith. I have faith that, and know that better times are coming, that it will actually, become a much, much better world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All of this needs to collapse and crumble away. The world that we know now, it can't, it's not sustainable. It can't continue. So we really must just flow with it, not be afraid of the changes that are happening.
And so
we're always protected. We're always loved and protected.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nothing to fear.
And so what are some of the, some of the experiences that you've had with, on the other side, like, I'm sure that you've had some crazy experiences, right?
Well, not so crazy really, because the world where my father ended up and where he met his present wife, it was very much like the world that he inhabited here on earth, except that it was, I think he deserved it for the hard life that he'd had. It was all about fun and having fun and enjoyment. And there was everything there that he could enjoy, everything that he loved here on earth, like music, swing music and ballroom dancing. And, he loved all of that. He was really good at it and taught it and everything. He and Mum used to go into competitions,
so that's where the belly dancer teacher came out.
Yeah, it's in the family. Yeah, so there was all of this going on, and jazz music and musicians, and he had a ball. There was a museum too. It was all sort of walking distance from where he was living, which was in a big mansion. And he being Christian, and he had to, I knew that we'd end up in a mansion, but I didn't know it'd be like this, the many mansions.
Yeah.
Beautiful place, with gardens, and down the road was a university. So we went to check it out, and there was sacred geometry, and he recognised it straight away because he used to belong to the Masonic Lodge, when he was alive, and he went right at the end as the Grand Poobah at the end.
Yeah.
And of course, I know it's all secret and everything, but it's about how the Egyptians built the pyramids and the engineering and geometry that went into that.
Yeah,
which,
sacred geometry.
We call that sacred geometry. And he saying, well, it was meant to be secret and everything, but I'm not going to be struck down by lightning now. If I talk about it. He always had a great sense of humor when he was alive, and he was a real character, and he'd always be up performing, and he was so funny. He was just a natural comedian. So of course he was, he was doing that in the next life as well.
Yeah,
he was the one to get up and tell jokes and make everyone crack up laughing. So that didn't change, and I found that the only thing that changes when you leave your body behind, that's the only bit that you leave behind. You take the rest with you, your emotions, your personality, all of that goes with you.
Yes.
Your auric bodies go with you, your emotional body, your mental body, and your spirit body go with you. You just leave your physical body behind. So you're really still the same person, just without your physical body. Or at least it's like that at first, where he stayed, they had, dining room and meals together and all that. And I said, well, without a body, how come you need to eat? And he said, of course you've got to eat. And then it was only later he realised,
yes. So isn't that interesting what the mind perceives as reality, right? Yeah. So even back then, I know that one of the things that I've said to my mum is, because she's still alive and she's hanging in there, like she's tough as nails, that woman. And one of the things that I've said to her over and over again is, when you pass, if you find yourself in a place that you don't like, then make a different choice. Because without the physical body, right, it will manifest really quickly. It's only here that it takes time because we've got the density of third dimension.
Yeah, well, of course, everything is our choice. We only think that we don't have a choice.
Yes.
But of course we do.
Yes.
Whether we have a body or not.
That's right.
And, I fully feel that, when people are in a coma before they pass, they've gone to the new world. They're creating it. They're creating their new home. So they're coming back and forth, So it's all ready for them when they get there.
Yeah. So have you had any experiences with any other, like you've had that with your dad, but is there anyone else that you've gone through that process with?
Yes, there are the people that I'm honoured and fortunate enough to help transition, and they're people often that I don't know. But my spirit guide takes me to them at the right time, and we join the group, that's to help them. The spirit people, the guides and so on, who are there to help them, to take them to their next life. And quite often they're so glad I'm there because I'm human, because the others are not human.
Yeah.
They're from angelic realms. And they hang on to my hand. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Off we go together. Yeah. Actually, quite an interesting thing happened. I woke up in the middle of the night one night. I turned on the radio, and it was about a museum in Europe, and I think it was Germany. And in the basement of that museum was the statue of an Aboriginal man, a full-size statue of this young and very beautiful man. And people who saw it felt like it had a life about it, a life force. And I went, oh, that poor man, he hasn't transitioned. He's stuck there with what was left of him, this statue of him. And so, we went there, and yes, there he was, just hanging out by this statue, nowhere to go from there, completely cut off from his culture. He was kidnapped. Before You know, he was kidnapped by Dutch traders or something. He and a young girl and another man, and taken to Europe and sold to a zoo. And they travelled around with the zoo and did performances, you know, the cultural performances of dance, didgeridoo and sticks and so on, all around Europe. And of course they didn't survive very long because of the cold weather. They just weren't they came from Northern Australia originally, cut off from their culture. And there was this poor man still just hanging around his statue, you know, and so we took him home.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah,
and we took him home to a world that was probably like Australia many hundreds of thousands of years ago. You know, it was absolutely pristine and beautiful, and lots of Aboriginal, you know, souls there, and they were so grateful to us, you know, for bringing this man home. They performed for us. They insisted we eat with them, and they, you know, that's usually what happens when you arrive, you know, at the next world with someone. Always
the
a group
appreciation and
for
gratitude.
them. Oh, they're so grateful, and you know, insist we stay and, you know, be part of the ceremony or welcoming them and so on.
That's so good.
Just wonderful. Yeah, I just love work.
Yeah. It's so fulfilling, right? And that's awesome. So many Indigenous ended up over. I've heard story after story of complete, you know, like people completely, you know, over in England or wherever, and you know, adopted out and all this sort of stuff, and not knowing their family heritage or that they are even Aboriginal, you know, like Indigenous to Australia. So
that's so sad.
Yeah. So do you do this type of work for people or just the card reading and let it come up?
I do this sort of work for people in that I contact their deceased loved ones for them.
Yeah.
And my guides set it up.
Yeah.
Quite often I go to the world where Dad lived because I was given a home there. Big, beautiful garden, something that looks like a Balinese temple.
Yeah.
And I interviewed people there. They're brought to me there. So we sit and talk and chat. I sort of interview them on behalf of their living relatives, so I can take that information back. And, you know, they can send messages, you know, with me to their living family as well. So it's a little bit like I'm a practitioner. I've got rooms.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it was given to me, you know, so obviously I must use it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, Christine, if people were interested in getting in contact with you, I might just say, because you don't have a website, I'll just say if you want to get in contact.
They can email me.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
contact with me that way.
So once we've finished, if you can put your email into the comments, that would be great. Yeah.
Definitely will, and I can email the report.
Yeah.
And
fantastic.
I do a couple of back and forths. You know, because they have more questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
that's
I'm
fantastic.
Very happy to do it.
And, you know, just as a side thing, one of the things that just popped into my head, you know, often people will ask their family members things like, oh, look at what's going on in the world, you know, what's the future hold, blah, blah, blah. And we've got to remember that our family members that have passed over have still got the consciousness that they left with, right? So, you know, it's not, that's something for a higher realm to be asking So I don't know why that popped in just then, but maybe it's a question someone's asking.
No, just because you leave your body behind doesn't mean you're automatically enlightened.
Yeah, genius.
No, they've still got a long way to go and a lot of lessons to learn before they get to the light realms.
Yeah.
They make that decision. Do they come back for another go around? Or do they go somewhere else? Or do they go to, it's sort of a college that's there. My father and his wife, Lily, they opted to go to the college and, to go the rest of the way towards enlightenment. And then because there are a lot of beings, a lot of ex-humans who work, helping the souls that arrive newly passed away who are arriving. And,
so you
practitioners, and helpers,
You've just answered something for me, and you know this story because I've told you about it before, when I was going through the past life thing way back. For those that are watching, and we haven't had the opportunity to meet, my dad died when I was 15. But, when I started waking up all those years later, 10 years later or something, one of the things that happened for me was that I had a spiritual, I had a past life regression, which was, I went and I went up this lift. Do you remember me telling you I went up this lift, elevator, sorry, and the doors opened and there was this man there and he said, follow me. And he turns around and he takes me in. It was a big hall. And he takes me through these huge doors and opens up these doors, and there's this big, big library. Well, when my dad died,
the Akashic Records.
Yeah.
I go up that elevator as well, and in those huge doors, and there's just miles of shelves of books of everyone's life.
Well, actually, I don't know if this was the Akashic Records, because one of the things that when Dad died and I was only 15, I had this really strong feeling he was going to a library somewhere, and I couldn't understand, I'm 15, we weren't really Christian, but we'd bought, I had understanding of Christianity. So I'm like, is there a library in heaven? Like, what's this big library? So these 10 years later, I go and here's this, this man that I didn't recognize open these big doors. Here's the library. And I recognized the library before I recognized the man. And when he turned around, I said, oh my gosh, you're my dad, aren't you? And he said, yes, I've been waiting for you. So he was in a different form. And he said, take a seat. I want to read something to you. And he pulled down the book of Revelations. And so we had been talking, but as soon as he opened it up and started reading, I couldn't hear him. And so I said, oh, I can't hear you. And he looked up and he said, again, I could hear him. He said, I'll start again. So he looked down, started reading again, couldn't hear him. And he closed the book and he smiled and he said, you're not ready. Come back when you're ready, sort of thing. So I think he was in that university that you're talking about. It wasn't necessarily the Akashic Records. It was some, a
place of learning.
Yes. Yeah. Really, really interesting. So all these years, it was really interesting to go into this massive library. Like, it was beautiful, dark wooden, just beautiful big lounges, like the seats with the little studs on the sides, like that antique sort of look to it. It was really, really beautiful. It was the library that I recognised before I recognised my dad. So.
You'd been there before.
Yes, obviously, yeah. I didn't realise that I'd been there before at the time, yeah. So thank you so much, Christine. For anyone that's looking to get oils or learn about the veil, or even just to get a card reading and have something a little bit different, because it is interesting doing it with the cards, with the playing cards, because Christine's done that for me. So, looking forward to catching up again. And I highly recommend you go and check out what Christine's got to offer. Thank you so much, Christine, for your time.
Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Take care, hon, and we'll speak soon. Bye all.
Bye.